I went to Trieste, where I became a whore.
And why did you enter a life of prostitution?
I didn't have much choice.
25 worst female cheaters in Hollywood history. You've heard the rumors, you've read the headlines. But today, we're diving deep into the scandalous stories of Hollywood's most infamous female cheaters. Get ready for jaw-dropping tales of betrayal, passion, and the price of fame as we count down the 25 worst female cheaters in Hollywood history. Buckle up, because this ride is about to get wild. Number 25, Elizabeth Taylor. Even Hollywood royalty can't escape scandal, proving that even in the good old days, ladies could behave badly. Classic beauty Elizabeth Taylor was married 8 times to 7 men during her life. Whilst she was rumored to have cheated on her second husband, Michael Wilding, with her third husband, Michael Todd, her most well-known affair came during her 5-year marriage to Eddie Fisher. When she met Richard Burton in 1964, they were both already married, but they entered into a scandalous relationship. Eventually, the pair split from their significant others and got hitched themselves. After 10 years together, they divorced, but just over a year later in 1975, they remarried before divorcing again after 9 months. The screen siren died last year, age 72. Number 24, Meg Ryan. Was America's sweetheart not so sweet after all? When Meg Ryan and Dennis Quaid got divorced in 2000, there was speculation that it had to do with Meg's blossoming relationship with Russell Crowe. However, 8 years after the divorce, Meg came forward to claim that actually, Dennis had been cheating on her.
I take it you're a career woman.
Yeah, market research.
According to what she told In Style, Dennis was not faithful to me for a long time, and that was very painful. I found out more about that once I was divorced. Russell didn't break up the marriage. Dennis was not pleased with Meg for coming forward about their breakup and responded by telling New York Daily News, "It was 8 years ago, and I find it unbelievable that Meg continues publicly to rehash and rewrite the story of our relationship." Awkward. Meg Ryan was still married to Dennis Quaid when she met her Proof of Life co-star Russell Crowe in 2000. Meg and Russell had an immediate connection, and news that the two had struck up an affair broke ahead of the film's release. The impact on Meg's career and personal life was simultaneously catastrophic. She was blamed for ruining her marriage and shunned at the box office. The film flopped, and Dennis and Meg got a divorce. However, it turns out that the reality of what her marriage to Dennis was like is a lot different than the story many believed at the time. Meg and Dennis announced their separation while Proof of Life was being filmed. Taylor Hackford, who directed the movie, reportedly blamed the relationship between Meg and Russell for the film's box office failure. Number 23, Jessica Simpson. What could be worse than cheating? Jessica Simpson's emotional affair might just answer that. In her memoir, Jessica Simpson said she had an emotional affair with Johnny Knoxville while she was married to Nick Lachey. She wrote, "But to me, an emotional affair was worse than a physical one. It's funny, I know, because I had placed such an emphasis on sex by not having it before marriage. After I actually had sex, I understood that the emotional part was what mattered. Johnny and I had that, which seemed far more of a betrayal to my marriage than sex." Number 22, Sienna Miller. Revenge can be sweet, but also scandalous. Who can forget when Jude Law cheated on fiancée Sienna Miller with his nanny? He was one of the first known celebrities to cheat with his nanny, and he essentially turned it into a cool trend.
What happens to you? You get scared, and then what? You disappear?
With Law getting so much attention, it's easy to forget that Miller got her own revenge by having a public affair with Layer Cake star Daniel Craig. Number 21, Katherine McPhee. When photos speak louder than words, Katherine McPhee's scandalous affair made headlines. In 2013, Katherine McPhee was photographed kissing Smash director Michael Morris while she was married to manager Nick Kokas. Morris was also married to someone else, actress Mary McCormick. McPhee spoke about it later, saying, "But I don't have any regrets. All of the choices I made, I learned from in a really deep way." McPhee married Nick Kokas, who was 19 years older than the singer, in 2008. They split several months after news broke of McPhee's affair with her married smash director Michael Morris in 2014. McPhee, who gained fame as a contestant on America's Idol, 5th season in 2006, was involved in a Hollywood controversy in the fall of 2013 when her secret romance with the 58-year-old director made news after pictures of the two kissing leaked publicly. Morris and the mother of his 3 daughters, Mary McCormick, the 47-year-old veteran actress who's been seen on The West Wing, In Plain Sight, and House of Lies, were briefly estranged but rallied back and have kept their marriage intact since the shakeup. But McPhee's marriage to Cocos could not be saved in the wake of the humiliating scandal, and the two split in 2014, with their divorce finally having been finalized this past February. Number 20, Kris Jenner. Behind every reality TV dynasty is a scandal. Jenner explained in an interview on Diane von Furstenberg's podcast, "I got married when I was very, very young. I met Robert when I was 18 years old. We dated for 4 years, got married at 22. Sooner or later during my life, when I was in my 30s, I had an affair, and my biggest regret was the fact that it broke up my family."
So stop judging me.
Kris Jenner's marriage to her first husband, Robert Kardashian, ended after she cheated on him. She admitted to the affair in her 2011 memoir, and though she kept the man's name private, it has since been revealed to be a former soccer player named Todd Waterman. In a 2023 episode of The Kardashians, Jenner revealed that the affair was her biggest regret. When asked why she did it by her daughter Chloe, Jenner said, "I don't know, because he was such a great husband and such a great dad. And I think I fell into a situation where I thought that the grass was greener somewhere else, and I made a huge mistake." Number 19, Morena Baccarin. Pregnancy, divorce, and Hollywood drama. Morena Baccarin's story has it all. The Gotham actress was technically still married when she became pregnant with her co-star Ben McKenzie's baby. In court documents filed by her attorney in 2015, she shared, "I am planning to remarry. Also, I am 3.5 months pregnant." That places conception around early June, possibly before she and her then-husband, Austin Chick, had started divorce proceedings. He filed for divorce on June 12th. Both have made different claims about their relationship status in the lead-up to the divorce. Was it cheating? Maybe. Was it messy? Most definitely. Number 18, Britney Spears. Britney Spears' bombshell revelation about her past infidelity left fans reeling. In her 2023 memoir, Britney Spears revealed that she cheated on ex-boyfriend Justin Timberlake with dancer Wade Robson way back in the early 2000s, but says the duo agreed to move past the incident. She also revealed Timberlake had cheated on her with an unnamed celebrity before their relationship ended in 2002. Number 17, Kristen Stewart. When photos of Kristen Stewart's affair surfaced, the Twilight fandom went into a frenzy. Twihards were beside themselves in 2020 when Kristen Stewart was spotted making out with a man who was most definitely not her Twilight co-star boyfriend of 3 years, Robert Pattinson. As it turned out, the man Stewart had been kissing was her Snow White and the Huntsman director, Rupert Sanders, who was married at the time to her co-star, Liberty Ross. Shortly after photos of the illicit pair surfaced, Stewart issued a public apology. "I'm deeply sorry for the hurt and embarrassment I've caused to those close to me and everyone this has affected," she said. "This momentary indiscretion has jeopardized the most important thing in my life, the person I love and respect the most, Rob. I love him. I'm so sorry." Although the couple did reconcile, they ultimately went their separate ways but are on friendly terms now. Number 16, Sophia Loren. A Hollywood newcomer and a seasoned star, Sophia Loren's affair was destined for the spotlight. In the late 1950s, Sophia Loren was a relative newcomer to the Hollywood scene, having done only a handful of movies on this side of the pond. Cary Grant was a well-established actor with a host of blockbusters under his belt. There was a 30-year age gap between the icons. Grant was married to his third wife, Betsy Drake, and Loren was engaged to Italian producer Carlo Ponti. But when they met on the set of 1957's The Pride and the Passion, none of that mattered. When Loren published her 2014 memoir, Yesterday, today, tomorrow, my life, she admitted everything. I was charmed by his dry wit, his wisdom, affectionate manner, his experience. We started spending more and more time together, she shared, adding, I, just 22 years old, was often confused by a life that was going much too fast. He, at 52, had lived a lot and suffered a lot too, although it appeared as though he had everything. She claimed they both were frightened by falling in love. It seems that the romance only lasted for the length of the shoot, or perhaps a little bit longer. By the time the couple shot their second film together, Houseboat, in 1958, which was based on Drake's idea and originally starred her, per The Guardian, things had soured. Even as they worked side by side, Loren remembered, the magic of our period in Spain had ended. We were at a standstill. The actor would eventually marry Ponte, who'd had his own legal complications while trying to end his first marriage. Grant would divorce Drake in 1962. Number 15, Marilyn Monroe. Even the beloved Marilyn Monroe couldn't avoid a scandalous affair. Monroe had an affair with playwright Arthur Miller, who wrote her lustful letters during her marriage to Joe DiMaggio. She filed for divorce from DiMaggio in 1954, and he wrote her his own letter, begging her to come back. Monroe eventually married Miller. Number 14, Vivien Leigh. When love and ambition collide, scandal is often the result.
Ashamed? Oh, I'm not ashamed. There's nothing to be ashamed of. It's true there were men in my life before Charles, I admit it.
Best known for portraying Scarlett O'Hara and Blanche Dubois in the films Gone with the Wind and A Streetcar Named Desire, Leigh is also known for being stunningly beautiful and irresistible to the leading men she accompanied on screen. But for her, success didn't come easy. And her notorious marriage to Sir Laurence Olivier was tumultuous as the classic Hollywood stars, to say the least. When she first laid eyes on Olivier while attending a play he's performing in, she told her friends she's with at the time, and he's the man that she's destined to marry someday.
I understand very well. Young loyalty is asked to pay for everyone's mistakes. Well, I won't let you. Listen, if the Queen sends you home in disgrace, I'll come with you and be disgraced too.
Despite the fact that she's already married to her first husband, Herbert Lee Holman. But to her, people were disposable. She's willing to do anything and everything to achieve what she wants, regardless of who got hurt in the process. Olivier likewise married when he caught Lee's attention, but that too didn't stop her from following him and his wife when they vacationed in Capri. Leigh and Olivier ended up sleeping together, even though his wife, Jill Esmond, was pregnant with his child. Olivier then kicked Esmond to the curb and married Leigh shortly thereafter. Number 13, Diane Kruger. When rumors fly, relationships can crumble. Cheated on her then partner, Joshua Jackson, with actor Norman Reedus. And she and Norman Reedus are married. I really hope she doesn't do the same to him as well. Jackson and Kruger got together in 2006, 2 years after she helped Nicolas Cage steal the Declaration of Independence, and 3 years after Dawson's bittersweet flash-forward finale. And it didn't take them long to become dreamy red carpet staples. In 2015, however, rumors started to fly that Kruger had been spotted making out with Norman Reedus, her co-star in a movie called Sky, in which Jackson also appears, in the corner of an East Village dive bar. While none of the three involved parties ever acknowledged the story, Kruger and Jackson were donezo by 2016, and that seemed to be proof enough. But it's 2024, and Reedus and Kruger are still together. They even welcomed a child in 2017. While Jackson hasn't commented publicly on their much-discussed breakup, Kruger has. That was something that was a long time coming, she told Vulture in November 2018. Also, we broke up many months before we said we were broken up. So by the time I made that decision, it didn't feel like it was so urgent anymore. You don't break up overnight after 10 years, you know what I mean? Number 12, Ingrid Bergman. A Hollywood icon and an Italian director, Ingrid Bergman's affair shocked the world. Less than a decade after playing Ilsa in Casablanca's fictional love triangle, Ingrid Bergman was starring in her very own one. Her affair with Italian director Roberto Rossellini, they were working together on the film Stromboli, would give them a child and America a scandal.
And what happened to you?
I went to Trieste where I became a whore.
And why did you enter a life of prostitution?
I didn't have much choice.
Bergman and her husband, Dr. Peter Lindstrom, divorced, and her Hollywood career stalled during the first half of the 1950s. The vitriol against Bergman was even heard on the floor of the U.S. Senate. Bergman and Rossellini had 2 more children together, but the marriage didn't last. Around the same time they divorced, the actress went back to winning Oscars. Number 11, Ava Gardner. Even glamorous stars have complicated love lives. Ava Gardner was known for being glamorous and beautiful, and for also having a dating life that was complicated at best. Ava Gardner began a brief affair with co-star Meg Ryan while still married to Sinatra, but things ended quickly between the two after she found out that her boyfriend had a sick wife. Her assistant and housekeeper, Maureen Jordan, said in Gardner's autobiography, she didn't object to secret adultery, but when a guy was two-timing a sick wife, she objected to that strongly. Gardner and Dominguez met while the actress was still technically married to Sinatra, but before that split was finalized. The Spanish bullfighter had been previously engaged to the Duke of Pino Hermosa's 18-year-old daughter, but by 1954, he was in a relationship with Gardner, whom he described as the most beautiful woman he had ever seen. The relationship was short-lived, however, and he went on to marry Italian actress Lucia Bose in 1955. The relationship between Gardner and Hemingway has never been clearly defined. The two met in 1954, while Gardner was still in a relationship with Spanish bullfighter Luis Miguel Dominguez. Gardner, who was still married to Sinatra at the time, faced a lot of public scrutiny, and Hemingway reportedly offered a home for her to hide in. Gardner and Hemingway spent a lot of time together in his home in Havana, Cuba. Number 10, Ally MacGraw. When passion and drama mix, the results can be explosive. Steve McQueen was one of the biggest names in Hollywood in the early 70s, and Ally MacGraw was on her way to joining that group for her acting. Though her name would be uttered far and wide, it wasn't necessarily only for her work on screen, as much as it was for stuff going on off of it. In 1972, shortly after being cast in The Getaway alongside McQueen, MacGraw and the action heroes started a relationship that wore out the ink on tabloids across the country. MacGraw was a rising star who had recently married producer Robert Evans. McQueen was Hollywood's iconic bad boy. But in spite of MacGraw's nuptials, according to Vanity Fair, theirs was one of the great love affairs of the past century. It was very, very passionate and dramatic and hurtful and ecstatic, MacGraw told the publication. It was pretty much a wipeout for both of us. But I think it's safe to say it would have been impossible not to fall in love with Steen. After the film, MacGraw divorced Evans, married McQueen, and left her career to be with him, according to Vanity Fair. It wasn't until after their 1977 divorce that MacGraw returned to the big screen with the 1978 film Convoy.
You, after all, you're going to be the merry widower.
I won't be married.
Yes, you will be. I want you to be married.
Number 9, Michelle Pfeiffer. An affair that ended 2 marriages. Michelle Pfeiffer's scandal rocked Hollywood. After over 3 decades, Michelle Pfeiffer's salacious yet controversial relationship with her dangerous liaison's co-star John Malkovich seemed like a blurry Polaroid. Back then, however, the couple made headlines after their electric on-screen chemistry snaked into real lives to such a heavy extent that it ended up obliterating the actor's marriage. During the production of the Stephen Frears-helmed drama, the leading stars, who'd both been married to different partners, soon found themselves getting amorous behind the cameras as well. Not long after his fling with Pfeiffer escalated, Malkovich's then-wife, Glenn Headley, divorced the Oscar-nominated actor after about 6 years of marital bliss. Even the Grease 2 star, who'd been wedded to Peter Horton from 1981 to 88, ended up splitting from him soon after the former's extramarital affair unfolded. However, Pfeiffer, 65, to this very day, has never outright addressed her scandalous romance with Malkovich, 69. And while she would eventually find love again, Pfeiffer would never repeat her past transgressions thereafter. Number 8, Brigitte Bardot. Young love and an affair on set. Brigitte Bardot's story is straight out of a movie. Bardot met French director Roger Vadim when she was 16 and he was 22. She and Vadim married on December 21st, 1952, 3 months after her 18th birthday. Vadim directed Bardot in And God Created Woman, his directorial debut in 1956. On the set, she began an affair with her co-star Jean-Louis Trintignant, a fellow actor. Bardot and Vadim amicably divorced in April 1957. I knew what was happening and rather expected it, Vadim later said, according to the Sydney Morning Herald. I would always prefer to have that kind of wife, knowing she is unfaithful to me rather than possess a woman who just loved me and no one else. I wanted a woman with spirit, with joie de vivre, a woman with a sense of adventure and sexual curiosity. Vadim went on to marry Jane Fonda, with whom he welcomed daughter Vanessa Vadim. Number 7, Zsa Zsa Gabor. Affairs and scandals were Zsa Zsa Gabor's trademark. Zsa Zsa Gabor was 24 in early December 1941 when she met 54-year-old, recently divorced, devout Roman Catholic and hotelier Conrad Hilton Sr.
Oh, I think the most wonderful thing is to live in sin. Then you can just walk away without any heartbreak is always, when you break up, there's always a big heartbreak, let's face it.
They married on April 10, 1942, a few months later. The marriage was strained. Zsa Zsa described being shot and having separate bedrooms, and Conrad keeping his door locked to her. As the thrifty Conrad Hilton Sr. recounted in his 1957 autobiography, Be My Guest, glamour, I found, is expensive, and Zsa Zsa was glamour raised to the last degree.
You don't see yourself as a glamorous lady? Well, I hope I'm glamorous. It goes with, you know, when you're an actress and a television star and stage star, you have to be glamorous.
She also knew more days on which gifts could be given than appear on any holiday calendar. According to legal documents referenced in the book The Hiltons, a true story of an American dynasty, Conrad Hilton and Cerise Zsa Zsa Gabor were separated by November 1944, and their final decree of divorce was granted in September 1946. In her biography, Gabor admitted to having an affair with Conrad's son, Conrad Nicky Hilton Jr., which began in 1944, when Zsa Zsa was separated from Conrad Hilton Sr. and, according to her, continued beyond Nicky Hilton's engagement in 1950 to Elizabeth Taylor. Zsa Zsa's daughter, Constance Francesca Hilton, was born March 10, 1947. In her memoirs, Zsa Zsa claimed that Francesca was born as a result of a rape one night by her estranged husband, Conrad Hilton Sr. While Hilton never had a paternity test done and never publicly disavowed Francesca, he did write a letter to his lawyers in 1971, stating he'd never believed Francesca Hilton was his daughter. The letter came to light when Francesca unsuccessfully contested Conrad Hilton's will after his death in 1979. Number 6, Grace Kelly. A princess with a past, Grace Kelly's affairs were the talk of Hollywood. Designer Oleg Cassini had been smitten with Kelly ever since he'd seen Mogambo. After being introduced in a Manhattan restaurant, Cassini pursued Kelly relentlessly. When she flew to the south of France for To Catch a Thief, she sent Cassini a postcard inviting him to follow her. While Kelly wanted to marry Cassini, she still craved her parents' approval. Her mother was the first to meet Cassini and was not impressed. Although the designer came from an aristocratic Russian family and had grown up in Florence, he was also divorced with 2 children. Years later, it was rumored that she was pregnant with Cassini's child and had an abortion. Cassini was not the only man she was seeing. She also spent time with French actor Jean-Pierre Aumont. When pictures of the two appeared in the tabloids, Kelly suspected that Aumont had tipped off photographers. Number 5, Louise Brooks. From silent films to scandalous affairs, Louise Brooks' life was a whirlwind. Louise Brooks had an extraordinarily brief but impactful film career. She hated Hollywood, seeking instead to build a haven, as this Pop Matters piece memorably puts it, out of sex, books, and gin. Brooks did, however, like to have a good time. She left her first husband, director Eddie Sutherland, after she fell in love with George Preston Marshall, owner of the Washington Redskins. She then left Marshall to marry someone else, whom she then left after less than 6 months. Brooks also had many lovers, including, for a night, Greta Garbo, and frequently posed nude. It was all short-lived, though. Brooks' life in film was over by the time she was 26. But though her subsequent poverty caused a lot of problems, she never really regretted leaving the limelight. Number 4. Barbara LaMarr. Silent movie star Barbara LaMarr's life was as dramatic as her films. Silent movie star Barbara LaMarr made just 27 films over the course of her short career. She isn't as well known as her contemporaries, but her story is just as compelling. Born Reatha Dale Watson in Yakima, Washington, she came to Hollywood riveted by the desire to be a great tragedienne and wield a dagger. According to LA Weekly, LaMarr, whom a judge once described as too beautiful to be in a big city, started out seeking fame by traveling across the country with her second husband. She eventually left him to marry her third spouse, a dancer and check forger. Eventually, she made it to Hollywood and was noticed by Douglas Fairbanks. She subsequently became famous for her wild love life. She left her husband in 1921, and her dramatic, liberated bon mots, which titillated the lost generation of flappers and philosophers. I take lovers like roses, by the dozen, she said. I cheat nature. I never sleep more than 2 hours per night. I have better things to do. One loves to live only because one lives to love. Eventually, though, her luck ran out. She died, possibly of tuberculosis at 29, and was thereafter dubbed Screenland's Beautiful Lady of Sorrow. Number 3. LeAnn Rimes. Country music star LeAnn Rimes' affair shook 2 marriages. Singer LeAnn Rimes cheated on her then-husband, Dean Sherman, with actor Eddie Cibrian, who was also married to model Real Housewife Brandi Glanville at the time. In a 2010 ABC News interview, Rimes said, "It happens every day to so many people. And if I take away my album sales, my words, and you just have another couple. You had 2 couples whose marriages didn't work, who really stumbled upon each other and fell in love." Rimes and Sheramit's divorce was finalized in June 2010. Rimes and Cibrian moved in together that July. Cibrian and Glansville marriage officially ended in October. However, that didn't mean the drama was done. Rimes defended her relationship during a November 2010 interview, saying, "I've always said I don't live my life with regret. I can't." She described the situation as 2 couples whose marriages didn't work, who really stumbled upon each other and fell in love. Rimes added, "Nothing I'm going to say is going to change people's perception of the couple because of their infidelity." In April 2011, Cibrian and Rimes got married. Later that year, Glanville was cast on Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, which intensified the public animosity among her, Cibrian, and Rimes. However, they seemed to be on better terms in 2020. Number 2. Rita Hayworth. A scandalous affair that captivated the world. Rita Hayworth's love life was a roller coaster. Her third marriage got even more publicity than her second marriage to Orson Welles. Ali Khan was the Playboy son of the fabulously wealthy Aga Khan. They were both still married when they started their affair, but managed to get divorced in time so their daughter, Princess Yasmin, could be born in wedlock. Yet despite the scandal, Rita's popularity survived. There was something vulnerable about her that made women as well as men care about her. Her pal Joey, co-star Kim Novak, said of her, "She was just a tender, sensitive, beautiful human being, very gentle." The marriage was a short-lived affair that ended in an acrimonious divorce.
Put the blame on Mame. Mame did a dance called the Hitchy Coo. That's the thing that slew my groove.
Number 1. Marlene Dietrich. The ultimate Hollywood femme fatale, Marlene Dietrich's love life was legendary. In May 1923, Dietrich married assistant director Rudolf Seeberg, who later became an assistant director at Paramount Pictures in France, responsible for foreign language dubbing. Their only child, Maria Riva, was born in Berlin on 13 December 1924. Throughout her career, Dietrich had numerous affairs, some short-lived, some lasting decades, often overlapping, and almost all known to her husband, to whom she was in the habit of passing the intimate letters from her lovers, sometimes with biting comments. When Dietrich arrived in Hollywood and filmed Morocco in 1930, she had an affair with Gary Cooper, even though he was having another affair with Mexican actress Lupe Velez. Another of her affairs was with actor John Gilbert, known for his professional and personal connection to Greta Garbo. Gilbert's untimely death was one of the most painful events of her life. Dietrich also had a brief affair with Douglas Fairbanks Jr., even though he was married to Joan Crawford at the time. During the production of Destry Rides Again, Dietrich started a love affair with co-star James Stewart, which ended after filming stopped. According to writer-director Peter Bogdanovich, Marlene Dietrich told him during an aircraft flight that she became pregnant as a result of the affair, but had a surreptitious abortion without telling Stewart. In 1938, Dietrich met and began a relationship with writer Eric Marie Remarque, and in 1941, the French actor Jean Gabin. He was probably the love of her life, but the relationship ended in 1948, where she desired that they live in New York, and Gabin did not want to live in France. When Dietrich was in her 50s, she had a relationship with actor Yul Brynner, which lasted more than a decade. Dietrich's love life continued into her 70s. Her lovers included Errol Flynn, George Bernard Shaw, John F. Kennedy, Joe Kennedy, Michael Todd, Michael Wilder, John Wayne, Kirk Douglas, and Frank Sinatra. Dietrich maintained her husband and his mistress first in Europe and later on a ranch in the San Fernando Valley, near Hollywood. If you enjoyed this deep dive into Hollywood's most scandalous affairs, don't forget to hit that like button, share this video with your friends, and subscribe for more juicy content. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.